The gunshots faded into distant echoes as Marisol Navarro clutched her bleeding shoulder, her breath coming in ragged gasps while she pushed her horse harder through the rugged terrain of the Texas borderlands. The year was 1875, and for the third time that month, men from Silverton had tried to run her off her father's land or worse. This time they'd nearly succeeded. Night was falling by the time Marisol spotted the flickering lights of the small trading post. Her vision blurred as she guided her exhausted mare toward the hitching post, nearly falling as she dismounted. Blood had soaked through her dress and the pain was becoming unbearable. Miss, are you all right?" A deep voice cut through the fog of her consciousness. Marisol looked up to see a tall figure approaching. As he stepped into the lantern light, she could make out his features' sun-bronzed skin, dark hair beneath a well-worn hat, and concerned blue eyes. "They shot me," she managed, her legs finally giving way. The man moved with surprising speed, catching her before she hit the ground. "I've got you. Let's get you inside." She learned his name was Adam Vega as he carried her into the trading post, shouting orders that sent the few patrons scrambling. The shopkeeper cleared a table, and within moments, Adam was examining her wound with practiced hands. "Bullet went through clean," he said, his voice steady. "You're lucky." "Not lucky," Marisol whispered. "They meant to scare me, not kill me, not yet anyway." Adam's jaw tightened as he worked to stop her bleeding. "Who did this to you?" "Blackwell's men." She winced as he cleaned the wound. "They want my land." "That doesn't explain why they'd shoot a woman." Marisol's dark eyes met his. "They have many reasons. My land, my water rights. But mostly, they hate my bloodline." Adam's hands paused for just a moment before continuing their work. "Then my name will drown their words," he said quietly, with a certainty that surprised her. She wasn't sure what he meant, but there was something in his voice, a promise, a vow that made her believe him. The next morning, Marisol woke in an unfamiliar bed. Her shoulder was bandaged, and her dress had been replaced with a man's shirt that swallowed her small frame. She struggled to sit up, memories of the previous night flooding back. Easy now. Adam appeared in the doorway carrying a steaming mug. "You lost a fair bit of blood." "Where am I?" "My cabin. It's behind the trading post." He approached and offered her the mug. "Coffee." Marisol took it gratefully, the warmth seeping into her fingers. "Thank you for helping me, Mr. Vega, but I should go. If Blackwell's men track me here, you'll be in danger too." "It's just Adam." He pulled a chair next to the bed. "And I'm not worried about Blackwell or his men." "You should be. They control everything in Silverton." "Not everything." Adam's eyes held hers, and not for long. Marisol studied him. His calm confidence was either the product of ignorance or something else entirely. "You don't know who I am." "Marisol Navarro. Your father was Miguel Navarro. He built one of the most successful ranches in the territory before he died last year." When her eyes widened, he added, "News travels, even to those who spend most of their time on the trail." "Then you know why they hate me. My mother was Apache." "In their eyes, I'm nothing but a half-breed who has no right to own the best grazing land and water access in the county." Adam's expression didn't change. "Your blood doesn't define your rights. Your father left you that land legally. It's yours. The law doesn't protect people like me here." She looked down at the dark liquid in her mug. 3 attempts on my life in a month. I'm running out of options." "What about your mother's people? They're on the reservation now. Going there would mean abandoning my father's dream." She shook her head. "I won't do that." Adam stood and moved to the window, looking out at the dawn breaking over the hills. "There's another option." "What's that?" He turned back to her. "Let me help you." For the next 2 days, Marisol rested in Adam's cabin while he tended to her wound and brought her meals. He asked questions about her ranch, her father, and the troubles with Blackwell, listening intently to every word. On the third morning, she woke to find him packing supplies. "You're leaving?" she asked, surprised at the disappointment in her voice. "We're leaving," he corrected. "You're well enough to travel, and we need to get back to your ranch. But Blackwell's men will be expecting you to be running, not returning." He handed her a bundle of clothes. "I found these at the trading post. They should fit better than my shirt." As they rode out an hour later, Marisol studied Adam's profile. "You never told me why you're doing this. You don't know me." "I knew your father," he said simply. "You did?" Adam nodded. "7 years ago, I was just a boy with nothing but a horse and the clothes on my back. Your father gave me work when no one else would. He taught me about ranching, about honor." He glanced at her. "I owe him." "That doesn't mean you owe me." "Maybe not. But I know what it's like to be judged for things beyond your control." He didn't elaborate, and Marisol didn't press. They traveled for 2 days, keeping to less traveled paths. Adam proved to be skilled at tracking and avoiding others on the trail. By nightfall of the second day, they crested a hill that overlooked the Navarro ranch. Even in the fading light, Marisol could see that something was wrong. "There are too many horses in the corral," she whispered, panic rising in her throat. "And those aren't my men." Adam's hand moved to his gun. "Blackwell's taken over. My foreman, Eduardo, he would never allow it unless—" She couldn't finish the thought. "We need to find out what happened. But not like this, not at night when they'd have the advantage." Adam guided his horse back into the trees. "We'll make camp and approach in the morning." That night, huddled by a small, hidden fire, Marisol felt her resolve weakening. "Maybe I should just let him have it. My father's gone. What am I fighting for?" Adam looked up from the coffee he was brewing. "Your heritage. Your father built that ranch not just for himself, but for you, for your children someday." "Children," she laughed bitterly. "Who would marry someone like me in this country?" The firelight caught something in Adam's eyes, a softness, a warmth that hadn't been there before. "Someone who sees you for who you are, not what others say you are." Marisol felt heat rise to her cheeks and looked away. "You hardly know me." "I know enough." Morning brought harsh reality with it. From their vantage point, they could see men patrolling the perimeter of the ranch. Blackwell himself rode out with several men, heading toward town. "That gives us a chance," Adam said. "If we can get to the house, we might find out what happened to your people." They approached cautiously, using the terrain for cover. When they reached the barn, Marisol heard a familiar voice cursing in Spanish. She pushed open the door to find Eduardo, her foreman, bound to a post. "Señorita Marisol." His weathered face lit up, then immediately darkened with concern. "You must go. They are looking everywhere for you." As Adam cut Eduardo's bonds, the old man explained how Blackwell's men had ridden in 3 days earlier, claiming they had papers showing Marisol had sold the ranch. When Eduardo demanded to see Marisol's signature, they beat him and locked him in the barn. "The others?" Marisol asked, dreading the answer. "They took the young men to work Blackwell's mine. The older ones they sent away." Eduardo's eyes filled with tears. "I am sorry, señorita. I failed to protect your home." "No, my friend." She squeezed his hand. "You did all you could. Now we need to get you somewhere safe." Adam shook his head. "We can't leave. Not yet." "What are you suggesting?" Marisol asked. "Blackwell's claiming you sold him the ranch. That means he needs documentation, forged papers with your signature." Adam's eyes gleamed with determination. "If we can find those papers and expose them as forgeries, we can challenge his claim legally." "The law hasn't exactly been on my side," Marisol reminded him. "The territorial judge is different from the local sheriff. Judge Hammond is known to be fair." Eduardo nodded eagerly. "It's true, señorita. The judge would hear you." But first we need evidence, Adam said, and it's likely in the house. They waited until nightfall. Eduardo, too injured to join them, remained hidden in a storage cellar beneath the barn. As darkness fell, Marisol led Adam through a servant's entrance at the back of the house. Inside, they moved silently through the familiar rooms, now transformed by Blackwell's presence, expensive bottles of liquor on the tables, cigars burning in ashtrays, her father's prized possessions carelessly strewn about. In her father's study, they found what they were looking for, a deed of sale with what appeared to be her signature at the bottom. "It's good," Adam whispered, examining it in the faint moonlight, "but not perfect. A handwriting expert could prove it's not yours." A floorboard creaked in the hallway. They froze, but it was too late. The door swung open to reveal one of Blackwell's men, pistol already drawn. Well, he drawled, his gun trained on Marisol. "The half-breed returns." Adam moved with startling speed, tackling the man before he could fire. They crashed into a bookshelf, sending volumes tumbling around them. The gun discharged, the sound deafening in the confined space. Marisol didn't hesitate. She grabbed a heavy paperweight from her father's desk and brought it down on the back of the man's head. He slumped forward, unconscious. "We need to go," Adam said, breathing hard as he picked up the deed. Someone will have heard that shot. They fled through the rear door just as shouts erupted from other parts of the house. Keeping to the shadows, they made their way back to the barn, collected Eduardo, and escaped into the night. By dawn, they had reached a lined shack at the far edge of Navarro land, a simple one-room structure used by cowboys during roundups. It was dusty from disuse but provided shelter and a place to regroup. "What now?" Marisol asked as she tended to Eduardo's injuries. "The judge holds court in Presidio next week," Adam said. "We take the deed there and present our case. Blackwell will send men after us. I'm counting on it." There was a hardness to Adam's voice that hadn't been there before. It's time someone stood up to him. That night, as Eduardo slept, Marisol joined Adam outside. The stars blanketed the sky, reminding her of nights spent with her father, learning the Apache names for constellations from her mother. "My mother used to say that the stars are the spirits of our ancestors, watching over us," she said softly. Adam looked up at the night sky. "Do you believe that?" "I believe they're still with me somehow." She pulled her shawl tighter around her shoulders. "My father would have liked you, I hope so." Adam's voice was quiet. He was a good man. "Why did you really help me, Adam? The truth this time." He was silent for a long moment. "When I was 16, my family was killed by raiders, not Indians, as many assumed, but white men disguised as Comanche. I was the only survivor." His hands clenched into fists. "The town we lived near decided the story of white men being responsible didn't suit them. They preferred to blame the nearby tribe. I spoke up, told the truth. What happened? They ran me out, called me an Indian lover, a traitor to my race." His eyes met hers in the darkness. "Your father found me half dead on the trail and took me in. He didn't care about the color of my skin or what others thought. He judged men by their actions, their honor." "Like you do with me," Marisol said softly. "From the moment I saw you, I knew you were fighting the same battle I've fought all my life." He reached for her hand. "I won't let you fight it alone." His touch sent warmth through her that had nothing to do with the night air. For the first time since her father's death, Marisol felt something other than fear and loneliness, hope, and something deeper, more complex. The next morning, they set out for Presidio, taking turns on the 2 horses they had. Eduardo rode with Marisol, while Adam scouted ahead. They avoided main trails, traveling through rough country where Blackwell's men would be less likely to follow. On the second night, as they camped in a rocky ravine, Adam returned from scouting with grim news. "Riders about an hour behind us, 4 of them." "Blackwell's men?" Marisol asked, though she already knew the answer. Adam nodded. "We can't outrun them with Eduardo injured. We need to stand and fight." Eduardo struggled to his feet. "Give me a gun, I can still shoot." "No," Marisol said firmly. "You're too weak. We need another plan." Adam studied the terrain around them. "This ravine narrows about half a mile ahead. If we set up there, we can force them to come at us one at a time." With no better options, they moved to the narrowest point of the ravine and prepared their defense. Adam positioned Eduardo and Marisol behind rock formations that provided cover, while he took a position where he could see anyone approaching. "If this goes badly," Adam said to Marisol, "ride for Presidio. Don't stop for anything." "I'm not leaving you," she insisted. "Your testimony is what matters. The deed, your signature, that's the evidence we need." "You matter too," she said, her voice breaking slightly. He looked at her for a long moment, then leaned in and kissed her, a gentle touch that conveyed everything words couldn't. "Be ready to ride," he whispered against her lips. The waiting was agonizing. Every sound, the wind through the rocks, a distant coyote's howl, set Marisol's nerves on edge. When the riders finally appeared, the sky was beginning to lighten with the first hints of dawn. Adam's first shot echoed through the ravine, catching the lead rider in the shoulder and sending him tumbling from his horse. The others immediately took cover and returned fire, bullets ricocheting off the rocks around them. For what seemed like hours but was likely only minutes, the gunfight continued. Adam's aim was true, and he managed to wound another of Blackwell's men, but they were pinned down and ammunition was running low. "We can't hold them much longer," Adam called to Marisol. "Be ready to run on my signal." Before she could protest, a new sound cut through the gunfire: hoofbeats, many of them, approaching fast from the direction of Presidio. Both sides paused, uncertain of who was coming. Over the ridge rode a dozen men, led by a figure Marisol recognized instantly: Sheriff Taylor from Presidio, a man known for his fairness and unwillingness to be bought. "Drop your weapons," the sheriff bellowed. "All of you." Blackwell's men, outnumbered and caught by surprise, had no choice but to comply. As the sheriff's posse rounded them up, Marisol ran to Adam, who was bleeding from a graze on his arm but otherwise unharmed. "How did they know?" she asked in disbelief. "Eduardo," Adam explained. "I sent him ahead last night while you were asleep. I knew he'd make it to Presidio if he didn't have to worry about us slowing him down." Sheriff Taylor approached them, his weathered face unreadable. "Miss Navarro, I presume?" "Yes, Sheriff. Your foreman told quite a tale. Said Blackwell forged your signature on a deed of sale." He held out his hand. "May I see the document?" Adam handed over the deed. The sheriff examined it carefully, then nodded. "Judge Hammond will want to see this. He's in Presidio now." 2 days later, Marisol stood before Judge Hammond in the Presidio courthouse. Blackwell was there too, his face a mask of barely controlled rage as the judge examined the deed and heard testimony from a handwriting expert who confirmed the signature was a forgery. "This court finds that the deed presented by Mr. Blackwell is fraudulent," Judge Hammond declared. "The Navarro Ranch remains the legal property of Miss Marisol Navarro. Furthermore, Mr. Blackwell, you are hereby ordered to vacate the property immediately and to compensate Miss Navarro for damages." He fixed Blackwell with a stern gaze. "You're fortunate I don't have you arrested for fraud and attempted murder." Outside the courthouse, as Blackwell was led away by the sheriff for questioning about other matters, Marisol turned to Adam. "It's over," she said, still not quite believing it. "Not quite." Adam took her hands in his. There's still the matter of rebuilding your ranch, getting your workers back. Our ranch, she corrected him. If you want it to be. His eyes widened. Marisol, are you asking what I think you're asking? I'm saying I don't want to do this alone anymore, not just the ranch, any of it. She stepped closer to him. When I told you they hate my bloodline, you said your name would drown their words. I didn't understand then, but I do now. Adam smiled softly. Marisol Navarro, are you proposing to me? Would that be so terrible? Instead of answering, he pulled her into his arms and kissed her, right there on the courthouse steps, not caring who saw or what they thought. Is that a yes? She asked when they finally parted. Yes, he said, his voice husky with emotion. 1,000 times yes. 3 weeks later, they were married by Judge Hammond himself, who had taken a personal interest in their case. The ceremony was small, attended by Eduardo, who was recovering well, and a few loyal ranch hands who had returned when they heard the news. That evening, as they stood on the porch of the ranch house, their home now, Marisol leaned against Adam's shoulder. My father used to stand here every evening, she said. He'd look out over the land and say it was the most beautiful sight in Texas. He wasn't wrong, Adam agreed, his arm tightening around her waist. What do you think he'd say about us? Adam considered the question. I think he'd say his daughter found a man who sees her true value, not just the land she brings with her. And my mother. She'd be proud that you fought for what's yours, that you didn't run from who you are. He turned to face her. I know I am. Marisol reached up to touch his face. When I was a girl, my mother told me that among her people, when a man and woman marry, they become one spirit. That no matter what happens, they're never truly alone again. I like that idea. Adam kissed her forehead. One spirit, two bodies, and two bloodlines, she added. Neither one better than the other, just different paths that led us here. To this moment, he agreed. To us. As the sun set over the Texas hills, casting long shadows across the land that had almost cost Marisol her life, she felt a peace she hadn't known in years. The battle wasn't over. There would always be those who looked at her with hatred or contempt because of her mixed heritage. But with Adam by her side, those voices didn't seem so loud anymore. In the months that followed, they worked side by side to restore the Navarro ranch to its former glory. Word spread about a half Apache woman who had beaten Blackwell at his own game, and about the cowboy who stood with her when no one else would. Some admired them, others still whispered behind their backs. But neither Marisol nor Adam paid much attention to the whispers. By the following spring, the ranch was thriving again. New calves filled the pastures, and the house rang with laughter as friends gathered for Sunday dinners. When Marisol discovered she was expecting their first child, she and Adam celebrated by planting a garden behind the house, a mixture of traditional crops from both their heritages. What will we tell our child about who they are? Marisol asked one evening as they worked the soil together. Adam looked thoughtful. We'll tell them the truth, that they come from strong people on both sides, that their grandmother was a proud Apache woman who taught their mother courage and resilience, that their grandfather was a man who built something from nothing through hard work and determination. He planted a seed with careful precision. And we'll tell them that no matter what anyone else says, they belong here, on this land with us. And if they face the same prejudice I did, then we'll teach them to stand tall, to be proud of who they are. Adam's eyes met hers. And if they ever doubt themselves, we'll remind them that love is stronger than hate, that family is more powerful than fear. Marisol smiled, her hand resting on her still flat stomach. And that sometimes, when someone says they hate your bloodline, all you need is the right person to drown out their words. With a name, Adam agreed, and with love. As the sun set on another day at the Vega Navarro ranch, Marisol knew that the path ahead wouldn't always be easy. There would be struggles, prejudice, and difficult days. But there would also be joy, love, and a family that drew strength from its diverse roots. And in the end, that was all that truly mattered.